This is a math lesson for page 271 and 272. This will be the starting of a new unit on geometry. And normally we start out with a little story on Hal and Horatio. And since you all haven't had one, I thought I would read this one to you. Hal stepped out of the lodge at Crater Lake National Park. He looked at Crater Lake and thought it had the bluest water he had ever seen. This is a good picture-taking country, he thought, with a happy sigh. A young boy and his mother come around the corner. But, Mom, we were supposed to hike this morning, the boy said. Hal recognized the boy as Danny Franklin. He had spent yesterday hiking with Danny and his family. I'm sorry, dear, but your father has had a bad headache. Maybe tomorrow, Danny's mother said. She looked tired. Hal smiled and walked over to them. Hi, Mrs. Franklin, he said. I'll be taking more photos today. I can take Danny with me if you would like. We'll be back by the afternoon. Danny grinned. Hey, you're the guy with the pet squirrel. He turned to his mother. Please, Mom, I'll be good, I promise. All right, his mother said, but be careful and do what Hal says, okay? Danny nodded and saluted Hal. Let's go, Captain. They spent most of an hour climbing a steep dirt trail, fragile and fringed, with fir trees. When they stopped to rest, Danny pointed at Hal's camera. Do you think you could teach me how to take pictures? Sure, said Hal. Let's go a little higher, where we can see out over the lake. At the lookout point, Hal took the camera from around his neck. First, let's look for different shapes, like triangles and squares, and learn to put them in the right place in the camera's viewfinder. He held the camera up to see Danny's face. Look through here. What do you see? Danny squinted. I see some blue water. Hal grinned. That's good. Move the camera around until you see the mountain on the other side of the lake. It looks sort of like a triangle. Put the mountain in the middle of the viewfinder. Got it. Danny moved the camera a little. Yes, I've got it. Good. Now just push the button up here. That's it, and you've got your picture. As the camera clicked, Danny's eyes sparkled. I did it. I'm a photographer. Hal laughed. You sure are. Just remembered. Put the shape in the middle of the viewfinder. Danny smiled. I can see shapes everywhere. That tree is a tall, skinny triangle, too. And look, there's a sign of a shape of a hexagon. Hal finished. See, it has 6 sides. Yeah, Hal, I found a rectangle, said Danny. Look here. Hal leaned down and looked through the camera's viewfinder. Yes, that boat takes people around the lake on tours. You're right, it does look like a long, thin rectangle. Maybe I'll get a shot of it, too. Danny was quiet for a minute while Hal took the picture. I wonder what shape your squirrel would be. Hey, where'd he go? Hal looked around. I was just wondering that myself. Danny pointed at the pile of huge gray rocks just off the trail. Last time I saw him, he was headed up there. Together they climbed up the tumbled rocks and peered down the other side. Look, there he is, exclaimed Danny. In the sunny spot on the flat rock, he kind of looks like a circle. Far below, something round and furry uncurled itself and blinked at them. Hal smiled at the sleepy little squirrel. Taking a sun bath, huh? Well, okay, but now it's time to go. That night, Hal joined Danny's parents at the fireplace in the lodge. Danny and I had a great time together, he told them. But, he winked at Danny, I'd better watch out or Danny will be after my job. It's hard to find good photographers. All right, if you have your chart, I believe it's number 36, it will look similar to this polygon chart. And I know you are reading it backwards. You have a black and white one. And so if you remember, I'm going to move this out of the road for a minute. I've got a little bit of space here. If you remember back a couple, right before we left school, we talked about line segments. And a line segment is simply just a part of a line. So we have a line segment. And that is just part of a line. We go from one point to the other, and we have a line segment. Now, a ray, if you remember, has an end point, and then it goes on in one direction for a long time, and we talked about that. Well, polygons are simply just line segments put together. So when we look at our triangle, we have a line segment, another line segment, and another line segment. And so how many line segments do we have here? Well, our chart tells us we have 3 sides. We have 3 line segments in a triangle. And actually the word tri means 3. And so when you look at a triangle, we have 3 line segments. I'm sorry my marker's not heavier. We have 3 line segments. And at each where our line segments connect, we call that a vertex. And so we have a vertex that forms here where the 2 angles meet. So if we were to name a line segment, for instance, if I put an A here, a B, and a C, we can name our line segments. There is line segment AB, there is line segment BC, there is line segment CA. They can be used to identify parts of a line. We don't go into that much in 3rd grade, but I want you to recognize that you can see what part of the line we're talking about. So, with a plane figure, and that's just one that's flat, we have regular triangles, and then you will have an irregular triangle. An irregular triangle, as I will show you here, if you can get your chart, a regular triangle has 3 sides that are equal or that are the same. An irregular triangle, as you see here, let's see, I'm trying to move it. Okay. These sides are not equal. They are not the same. A quadrilateral, you're going to call this probably a square. Quad, meaning 4 sides. This is a regular one, which you will know as a square. But for the polygons, we are going to call it a quadrilateral. Quad meaning 4. And so you have some irregular quadrilaterals. Now you'll say, well, that looks like a rectangle, Mrs. Henry. And that looks like a shape I might draw. This is true. We have a pentagon. Penta meaning 5. This is a regular one. All 5s are the same. If you've been or heard of Washington, D.C., we've talked about the Pentagon. If you get on, maybe Google Maps or something, and have your parents help you, if you look from the air, the Pentagon is shaped just like a pentagon. And here are some irregular ones. This looks like maybe a house you might draw. We have a hexagon. It has 6 equal sides for a regular one. The hexagon that are irregular, there are 6 sides, but they are not equal. Hex meaning 6. Here we have an octagon. 8 sides, octa meaning 8. This looks much like a stop sign. And then we have 8-sided figures here that are not regular, they're irregular. And so you can refer to your chart that you have. Yes, it's in black and white, but at least you have something because I can't hang this in my classroom. And so each side forms, we talked about the vertex, which is also an angle. We have our angle here. And so you notice that we have 3 sides 3 vertex with 3 angles. So if you will look at the top of your page, let's see here. I'm sorry, it's blurry. If you look at the top of your workbook page, you will see you have the polygons here, and you have this one. So then we're going to complete this table together. So if you look at this polygon and look at your chart, I'm sorry I can't fit all of this on here, but this would be called a, and we got to put it in here, and that would be triangle. So then how many sides does a triangle have? You will write that there. And then the number of angles. You'll write that there. And your number of vertices. So you should have 3 sides, 3 angles, and 3 vertices. Now, you will do the quadrilateral, the pentagon, and the octagon. I want you to do those. Notice it says here that test for right angles with your index card. If you do not have the one I gave you, I'm sure maybe mom or dad has one around. So I'm going to let you do the rest of that on your own with your parents' help. And then it says, number 5, which of the above polygons has right angles? So if you will use your index card, you can find which one that is and put your answer right there. Then down here at the bottom, number 6, 7, 8, and 9. So we're going to look. It says, count all the toothpicks and marshmallows. Circle the polygon that could be made. So let's look at number 6. Okay, count the toothpicks. So I count 4 toothpicks and 4 marshmallows. So would that make, down here they want you to circle which one that could be. Does it make a triangle? Does it make a quadrilateral? Or does it make a pentagon? We have 4 sides with 4 vertices or endpoints. So that would make what? A quadrilateral. I would like for you to do 7, 8, and 9 with the help of somebody, or maybe you can do it yourself. Then on the back side, you have this page. You have a word bank here. You have triangle, square, which is also the quadrilateral, a pentagon, a hexagon, and an octagon. Remember, we have your chart number 36 you can look at. Remember that your sides, your angles, and your vertices is what you will write. And then you're going to have number 6, another figure to use with toothpicks and marshmallows. Bible truth, we need not to be fearful since God is our refuge and our strength. And it is a hard time for us, and that is a good verse for us. And then down at the bottom, you will have a review on dividing. All right, so you can get started on that, and I will do another one for you. Bye.